Malo mo la Maria hoi ki he whake tonga mo pulango toa mo mea mai ki he whakahoa ko ia radio TWN, peko Tonga World News, pia me Seattle, Washington. Ko e whiawhi ko ni, ko e whiawhi moni te eni, aho ua whitu o.
Ua whitu. Sorry, ata ua whitu.
Oh, no, that's fine. Ua walu?
Ua whitu.
Oh, ko e aho whitu eni o September, o e wafe ma wataha. Pea mo mea pe foki ko kamata pen ke tau wha ose a te mahina ko nipa fuu ma meange lere a mahina ia I ngai ahoni. Ka oku iai mautari lea mo tolu he whiawhin ko toa peo mo si me amai ki he polokarama koe ni. Ai a koe whiawhini ko whakahok whatongi atu pia mo Emeline Faaumu-Niutei ko au Brenda Kongaika. Ka mata e tau polokalama a kia tau ki lotu ko ne lava le leipi ia tau tu keokat lewa ki he toinga o I polokalama ko ia ko whakatutu ki he whiawhini malo. Tau lotu. E ko mauta mai whahewani a Fiona. I he whiawhawhof koe ni uma punohi fo. Ke whahoko ata mau whamalo ke a Fiona ngahi tāpua ki mo ngahi lelei ko tope. Ko ke tuhi fo ki a tek mauto ko whana. Mau whamalo ke he whiawhawhof koe ni. Mau whamalo ke te koe ke o kulelei au pito ea he ngai ahoni pea o ikai ke haalo tāmaki I he whitu aini umau nofu ai. Ko ea mau kore katikoe ta mahewani I he polo kalama whareti o ko ia o e whiawhini. Mau kore katikoe ke whakaputo iangi ki maua mo Emeline I hangahi mea te maria aki o kutonu ke lelei pea ongo mari ki he kau whanongo. Pea toi ta hafo ki ke tau whiongo aki I he lelei ko ia o tuku mai he ongo he tapa kotoa pe o e mamani koe. Whamalo ke te koe whahawhi e toko taha kotoa pe te kai ke maungona hani I o ku maalolo pe ku more atu me he mamani koe nika mau whawhitai mu whamalo ko I ngā ko tauhi lelei aki mātou. Tamahewani o mai mua I mālohi ke te mau ke whahoko ake ngā koe ni. Whataki ake ngahi ongo lelei mi mau whanua mi tonga eiki. Kore kati koe ke tāpua ki angi o mau whanua tonga. Tāpua ki angi tamatui pa he foki ki hono whare. Tahine koe ni na spau. Tu aho. Pia moana whare mo ha mo he ofa ke tuku kaki nau tolu ha. Loto hanga mari ki he ngahi mea kotoa pe kuna o lotua mea awhio. Si tō whorofora e tamatui pa pe ki pia mo si whakahoko e polo kalama ko ia e kakai whiwhine e tahine kuini. Ma kore ka awhio ke tau whiao pe me awhiona. Ngahi mea kotoa pe whakahoko e whiawhine konga ma polo kalama e whiawhine. Ma kore ka awhio ke whakarea I mau he rea o tōn ke marea aki. Tuku mai haloto hanga mari e pia ofa ke maangi a ngahi mea o atu I hano wheawe ake holo I he media. Ta mahe vanta wheawe pe mo koe whiawhine mua kore ngai miani I ho kua whapeho alo Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Boni. Maria
Malo pag-alabay daw kung awala kita programa, pagkapita, I fell up. Apologize that kaya wa fito ni baka wa valve. But anyway, kaya monite ni kaya history and culture, kaya I think today is the KAVA KUO HEKA, kata programa ke history ahoni.
Yes. Mhm.
But I'm just gonna give it back to you. Kaya hang up or outline the programa, kimo kaya hang out what video playlist ko hefefini.
Io, malo apito Emeline, koe fiafini o ku manatui o ku lolo Tonga whetui ake e ngahi mea whakapolitikare i Tonga, pea o ku toe ma o ngongange lere a mitia i he ua whonua kotoa koeni o ku iai e kautonga, pea o ku mixe ngahi mea kotoa, he? Aia o mai he ta culture, he ta history mo culture ke remind back he tau kakai that we always have to revert e tau whakaukau ki honolotua tau ki whonua na tau tupu ai. Pea koe ukonga koe ni the cultural segment i e pōni, oku tā vahe pe, pea muki nau tolu koe, nau present mai i he nau ngai fo i video. So, okay, get up here, get elaborate. No, we're just supporting the fact that Tongan culture is here to stay, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I'll give it back to you.
Okay. So just relax and
enjoy.
Enjoy. That's right.
In Tongan society, virtues such as anga of.
Okay, we'll start.
Hello, my name is Salote Mafileo Bilolevu Tuita. I am the only daughter of His Majesty King Taufa'ahau IV in the Kingdom of Tonga in the South Pacific. Tonga has the distinction of being the only Polynesian nation that has remained intact since its earliest days. It was never colonized or occupied by a foreign power. As Tongans, we are proud of our heritage, of our king, whose royal lineage goes back 1,000 years. We are proud of our language and culture, of the peace and stability of our country. We are grateful for our Christianity and for the customs and attitudes that bind us together as a people. Even before the coming of Christianity in 1826, there were basic values and virtues constantly reinforced in Tongan society. Virtues such as anga ofa, a loving nature, anga whakaapa-apa, reverence and respect, tauhi waha'a, or keeping up good relations with one's fellow countrymen, mamahi i mea, zeal and team spirit toward any worthy cause, and lototo, a ready and willing mind. These virtues are still considered characteristically Tongan and reinforced by many rituals and performances, important to our society even today. The spokesmen for these performances and rituals are the whaiwhekau, or ministers within the church, the matapule, or talking chief, who conducts the kava ceremony or speaks to the people on ceremonial occasions in the name of the king. Even the punake, poet, musician, or choreographer, will praise these virtues in his compositions. In fact, most of the grand artistic performances are much more than just entertainment. They are cultural reinforcements of the basic values of the Tongan society: love and respect for God, King, and country. This particular presentation features the ritual or the ceremony of the kava, which comes down to us from time immemorial. Kava is important ceremonially to most Polynesian peoples. It has special significance to Tongans because it symbolizes the fealty, the solidarity, and the commitment of Tongans to their country. In July of 1998, two important kava ceremonies were held in connection with the 80th birthday of my father, His Majesty Faaumu-Niutei IV. I invite you to learn about these ceremonies and their history, for they both reflect our culture and teach our culture.
The royal kava ceremony, with its meticulous observances, is a microcosm of the Tongan society, showing the social order and status of the clans, or ha'a, and reaffirming the attitude of Tongans' loyalty to each other and the king. The ceremony is executed with stylized pageantry and reverence.
Rituals, to me, are social theater. They have a moral or morals lesson to teach people about that society. And kava ceremony is the centerpiece of our culture and our rituals system.
In Tongan mythology, the kava plant has a miraculous origin. It appeared because of the sacrifice and love of a very poor couple for their king, the Tuitonga. According to one legend, this couple lived alone on the island of Ewaiki with their little daughter named Kava, whom they cherished, but who was afflicted with leprosy. One day, unexpectedly, the king and his fishermen came to the island for rest and refreshment. Hearing of the king's arrival, Kava's father, Fevanga, anxiously began to prepare the underground oven to bake an offering for the king. Kava's mother, Fefafa, rushed to their garden to harvest the last bit of food they had, a fu'ukape, or giant taro. To her horror, Fefafa discovered the king himself resting under the leaves of the kape plant. Unable to approach the king, who was considered by the people to be divine, Fefafa returned sorrowing to her husband. The couple's deep sense of duty left them no choice. Since a food offering had to be made, they decided to offer up their daughter as a sacrifice. Thus, kava was put in the underground oven as an offering for their king. When the king heard of this manifestation of ultimate devotion, he immediately left the island before the oven could be uncovered. So it became poor Kava's grave, tenderly cared for by Fevanga and Fefafa. Not many days after, two strange new plants appeared, one at the head and one at the foot of the burial mound. One was sweet to the taste, and the root of the other was bitter. When the high chief Lo'au heard this tragic story from the grief-stricken parents of Kava, he told them to bring the strange new plants as an offering to the king, Tatu Itonga in Lapaha. The plant with the bitter root would henceforth be called Kava, after the cherished daughter. The other would be called To, or sugarcane. The couple made the presentation to the king as an emblem of their sacrifice. Hence the drink made from the root of the kava became the ceremonial drink of Tonga. No one is quite certain exactly when the kava first began to be used in ritual fashion, but many cultural experts have theories.
I tend to believe that the kava was originally employed as part of the ancient religion, but then it was socialized to keep order in society. But the myth of the kava seems to point to healing religious practices. It seems to me that human sacrifice was fairly common in ancient times, perhaps in Tonga or in other parts of Polynesia, and the kava was developed to crowd it out. Yeah, it has become the great metaphor of our society, the kava.
Kava has come to symbolize all of the basic Tongan values combined in one: the land, the people, their customs, their culture, everything Tongans hold dear.
So kava is there at every important occasion: the bush, the roots, the liquid, but particularly the ceremonial tradition has been maintained. And what's very important about that ceremonial tradition is the way the social order is marked out. If you sit in a circle for what's called the Taumafa kava, the noble kava ceremony, you know your place. And in Tonga, everybody knows their place. And in a way, these ceremonies are symbolic of the way the whole society is organised, from the king, representing the ancient sacred chief, down to the father as head of the household.
Each person's place in the kava circle is extremely significant. Why? Because the hierarchy within the kava ceremony is all-inclusive. That is, every person in the kingdom is represented by one or more of the nobles and chiefs within their clans. The king sits directly opposite the tānoa or kava bowl and the kava mixer or taukava. On either side of the king or tu'ikanokupolo are two principal matapule or talking chiefs, Motuapuaka and Lawaki. The space behind the tānoa is the toua, where the people gather. The line of chiefs making up either side of the circle is called the alofi. Here sit the paramount chiefs or nobles and their attendant chiefs or kaumatapule. When they participate in a ceremony presided over by the king, a number of very high-ranking nobles in the kingdom may take their places in the toua, such as Vaea, Kalaniuvalu, Tupouto'a, and Ulukalala. The toua will then be referred to as toua eiki, or the chiefly toua. It was fitting, therefore, that a royal kava ceremony should be held during His Majesty's 80th birthday celebration. Although all such ceremonies celebrate the king, this particular ceremony was also a traditional installation ceremony for a young nobleman, the Honorable Fialakepa. He is presently governor of the Ha'apai group of islands. The preparation for Fialakepa's installation ceremony, or pongi, actually began many days earlier when Fialakepa and his relatives gathered a massive tribute for the king in the form of food, kava, livestock, and elegant Tongan crafts. Uhi Tamatapule, or chiefly attendant, is in charge of this enormous array of gifts. He will also be one of the orators during the ceremony, representing the king. Fialakepa belongs to the Ha'ahavea clan, made up of 7 influential paramount chiefs on Tongatapu.
Yes, today is the traditional installation of the Ha'ahavea title, Fialakepa. And I think with these installations, it's the traditional confirmation of a title, a noble title here in Tonga, where most of the chiefs of the Ha'a and other chiefs as well and relatives bring tributes and tributary materials to the king, especially pigs, fine mats, and ngatu. It is a very important day because one cannot, according to some authorities, participate in the king's kava ceremony until one has a pongi or send tributes to the king for the noble title which has been conferred.
Fialakepa's pongi, or ritual tribute to His Majesty, will include dozens of 400-pound pigs, scores of giant yams or ufi, hundreds of baskets of food, and of course, many huge kava plants mounted on vaka or sleds. All the large pigs will be presented on their backs, with their mouths and feet wrapped tightly with banana leaves and fibers. This has special significance.
Kono hai ko ngudu mlo wae no ke fa mai no ai no ke he tau ko velata e hanga du bo la mai ko to atongan ko fa mai no ko fa ko to atongan ya du bo ko me ko hai ai ko o wae ba mo mutu po ka fo hake na ke te hata te are mut po te me fa e tau o tongan ko fa me mau ngai ko ke ho ko no fa ke ko mo hai ko mo malu ia ko fa mai no ia na tau u du ko do ka du bo ngai tau ko ko mo an fa le mai ko me ko hai be u bo ka do.
As the grounds fill with royal gifts and people, the spirit is light-hearted and joyful. These young women will bear the cups of kava to the chiefs of the kava circle. Only children of ranking chiefs have this honor. For many, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The official counters, who will count each gift in the ceremony, await their time-honored duty. The chiefs arrive and the circle begins to form. The principal role in the ceremony will be played by the king's highest-ranking Matapule Motuapuaka. He will guide each step within the ceremony, from the initial whakawhetai or formal acceptance of the gifts to the preparation and distribution of the kava, to the final order that the ceremony is concluded. His partner, Lawaki, performs on the king's left. As preparations are completed at the palace grounds, Fialakepa is at home, being dressed by the women of his clan in a massive ta'avala or waist mat. In everyday life, the waist mat is an emblem of respect. No one is fully dressed without it. The origin of the ta'avala is not clear. One legend links it to sailors from Ha'apai, paying homage to the ancient divine king Tonga. When their clothes were in tatters after a difficult voyage, they wrapped themselves about with pieces of the sail of their canoe and humbly presented themselves before the king. Since then, the ta'avala has been the universal symbol of respect for all Tongans.
Tongans are the only Polynesians who wear the waist mat. It expresses their identity, their dignity. It embodies the classic virtues, whakapa'apa, respect, tauhiwaha'a, keeping up relations, and mamahi'i mea, patriotic zeal. People of all ranks wear it, including royalty.
Like KAVA, the ta'avala has deep meaning, reflecting the pride and solidarity of the Tongan people. Also, like KAVA, it is frequently referred to as the whanua, or land. The word whanua has powerful connotations for Tongans.
As a foreigner first learning the language, and even before I received my chiefly title, I was touched by the meaning of the word whanua in the minds and hearts of the people. For example, I remember years ago, I believe it was in the village of Te'ekiu, walking by an open lot where there were several elderly men seated in a kava circle. There was a bowl with a kava in it, and opposite the highest-ranking person in the group. When I greeted them, one of them said, "Koe maunofo pe'enia o puke puke whanua." We're just sitting here tightly holding on to the land. That is the land in the composite sense, represented by the kava. Another time I remember encountering a village elder very early in the morning. He had a rather large ta'avala on, called a kuta, suggesting that he was a mata'apure. After our greetings, I asked him why he was wearing a ta'avala so early in the morning. And he said, when I get up in the morning, I bind the land around me. Again, this is a very powerful expression of these two very significant symbols for Tongan identity. The kava on the one hand and the ta'avala on the other.
Of course, Fialakepa's is a ritual ta'avala. In fact, it is 3 separate ta'avala. Waist mats such as these are considered priceless, not just because of what they symbolize, but because often they are passed down from cherished ancestors. Once he is dressed and ready, Fialakepa leads a large procession to the palace grounds. He is flanked by Lasike and other nobles and mata'apule of the Ha'avea. The size of the procession shows the strength of the clan.
The Ha'avea chiefs are very influential here in Tongatapu. They have a history of rebellion against authority, but now they're very much part of the establishment with the Prime Minister, the Honourable Baron Maya, and a lot of the chiefs in government, like the Vakano.
The joy of the occasion is shown by a typical Tongan ma'afana, or wild enthusiasm. Seated in their traditional places, the Ha'angata clan has for centuries been responsible for the ritual presentation of gifts. And for kava mixing, they take immense pride in these duties. Fialakepa takes his place with fellow Ha'ahavea chiefs. When His Majesty arrives at the head of the circle, Lawaki and Motuapuaka begin the ceremony with loud, stylized expressions of gratitude. The king presides in the doorway. Whakawhetai is the honorific word for thank you. Motuapuaka orders the royal counters to formally acknowledge each gift. In much the same way that the words of the ritual take on a poetic quality, many of the exaggerated movements of the counters take on a dance quality. Each food gift must be accounted for individually and in groups of 10 and summarized at the end by the artful Tungafasi Maka. Fialakepa's auntie, Mrs. Kaifonua Tuponiua, then presents elegant mats and tapa, the work of many loving hands. Once the gift presentation is accomplished, Motuapuaka then commands that the kava be prepared. An appropriate kava plant is selected. The branches are snapped off and the root split into 3 sections for cleaning and pounding. The elaborate, stylized method of splitting the kava is accomplished by whakauho from the village of Kolovai. Even more than the counters, whakauho brings the grace, balance, and movements of Tongan dance to his task. Once the careful shaving and cleaning of the kava is completed, root chunks are taken to the tau kava, Seluse Fesi, the king's kava mixer from the Ha'angata clan. In former years, instead of being pounded with a rock, the green kava was chewed by appointed persons, often chiefs of lesser rank and occasionally by women. The kava sufficiently pounded, the kava bowl is brought in and the bits of pounded root are put into it. When the bits of kava are arranged in the bowl, Selu lifts one side of the bowl for Matuapuaka to see and shouts. The mixing then begins in earnest. This process is called the milolua. Once the strainer is applied to the bowl to strain the bits of kava out, the orations begin. These movements with the strainer are called Faaumu-Niutei. Uhi from the Fale Ha'akili clan speaks on behalf of the king. Mafua I whangauta, Fielakepa Senior Matapule responds for Fielakepa. With the kava ready for serving, the next step is to provide a food gift for each person in the circle. This is called fono. One's fono is a piece of pork cut and distributed around the circle. In this ritual, a representative comes from outside the circle to claim the fono for each chief in the ceremony.
According to custom, no Tongan ranks high enough to accept the king's portion. It must be accepted by some non-Tongan of status. Many people were surprised when Masima Sefesi, respected district officer of the Western District, was asked to enter the circle as the representative of the foreign dignitary to claim the king's fono. I was sure there was going to be controversy, a talanga, a challenge from the chiefs whose job it is to protect the protocol of the ceremony. But it was surprising to me that there was no controversy whatsoever.
But there was controversy over what to do with the ngāue, or the multitude of gifts, before serving the kava. Traditionally, all gifts must be removed from the circle on the order of Lawaki. But in recent investiture ceremonies, because of the difficulties of removing thousands of pounds of ritual gifts, they had been allowed to remain. The Honorable Vahai argues with Motuapuaka that attempting to remove the gifts would compromise the dignity of the occasion and of the king himself. Motuapuaka fires back that the traditional protocol requires their removal.
Ka ko ene tu'uni. He kai ke te whawhipaki awi hata. Ko ene whawhipaki mai te whewheka tu awi. Hau kai ko awi o ko whai atu e tu'uni. Ko ene whola o ko whai atu ake. Pa ko te whenga mai koe tamu ho igno pere. Ko ke o koulawe i pe awi honau tu'unga i olunga i te au. Kai ke lawa honau tu'unga ke nau esi ai ho whatongia ako. E ulaki tonu ho whatongia aku ke hau. Kau toki tonu au kanau tonu. Te toki whare reo na toki tu. Ko pau ke alua te mea whewheka tahaya. Whilawe i mo tu'unu o mai ka te hau.
Thus, the entire massive array of gifts is removed. The king's kava is called as the voice of the caller sings out, The king's kava bearer is the Honorable Lavinia Whangaake Hoamofaleono Ma'afu, daughter of the leading noble of the Ha'ahavea clan. Next, Lawaki's kava is called. Now Fielakepa's kava is called. The server is Rosaline Furifua Atonga Kaho, the eldest daughter of Tuivakano, a prominent Ha'ahavea noble. Motuapuaka tells the Toua to adjourn and invites Fielakepa to greet the king. Thus concludes another performance of a traditional ceremony. A new young nobleman is now duly initiated, and Tongan loyalty to king and country has been reinforced. As with other rituals and legends, the kava ceremony of the Tu'ikanokupolu is enshrined in a traditional communal dance called Lakalaka, performed by the people of the Ha'angata clan. During the king's birthday celebration, another important kava ceremony was formed. This ceremony was held in honor of His Majesty's oldest granddaughter, the Honorable Salote Lupepau'u Salamasina Tuita, who recently turned 21 and graduated with a bachelor's degree.
Because most of these kava ceremonies are especially reserved for the nobility when they are inaugurated, when they receive their title for the first time. But I think this kava ceremony signifies a job well done in reaching the age of 21 and completing her bachelor's degree as well, and hoping that she would again renew the sense of belonging, the sense of clan and family and community togetherness.
Although the gifts presented here are not as extensive as those offered in a title installation ceremony, they are nevertheless stunning. After the mats and tapa are presented, they are taken outside the circle by the women. The King's Matapule Awheaki from Ha'apai will conduct the ceremony. When all is in order, Lupe Pau'u arrives with her aunties and cousins as escorts. The Honorable Lupe Pau'u settles on the lap of her Faehuki, or symbolic mother, Nasitasia Veikune. Awheaki leads the formal acceptance of the gifts. Samiu To'oa performs the counting duties. Each pig is a toho, or the largest possible size. Awheaki orders a kava root pounded. The first orator is Tupo To'os Matapule Valu, representing both the king and Lupe Pau'u's mother, Her Royal Highness Salote Pilolevu. The speech from Lupe Pau'u's father's side is given eloquently by Lutui. Traditionally, the ritual of the carving of the pig must be accomplished without breaking or cutting through a bone. The whono are claimed by relatives of the chiefs. Elizabeth Wood Ellam, longtime friend of the royal family, claims the whono for the king. The time has come for Lupe Pau'u to receive her first kava. Luciani Luani will bear the kava cup to her. Awheaki gives Lupe Pau'u her charge.
Que te tataki mo koa, ki mau tonu ke malawa. O tau whakaria, kai tuuroa ai pule, mo e taki atu kou, mo e tui, mo e otu tonga. Whamore more o iroa, atunga.
It was very emotional for me, especially when I was presented with the kava. Afiaki started making that speech on my obligations from then on for the country, for my king, for my family and people. For me personally, I think drinking the kava or drinking the land, to say, was ensuring your obligations to the land and its people.
Finally, Ahio announces that the kava is at an end. The ceremony is adjourned and Lupe Pau'u is escorted away.
Pengatangai mau kawa. Wai whatongia a home mo kapukawa. Wai mātua hangata ke kawa lupe pau. Lewe vai malanga. Haloi kei toka heta tapaa.
The winds of change continue to blow relentlessly throughout the Pacific. Tonga faces growing social and economic difficulties, such as the issue of land distribution, the struggle to develop new agricultural industries, the invasion of technology, the pressure of foreign involvement, and even the controversy over the long-established monarchical system of government. But there is still a deep sense of Tongan identity, a belief that clinging to the legacy of the past as embedded in the rituals and ceremonies of the culture will help Tonga steer a safe, peaceful course into the 21st century.
We Tongans believe that God still looks after us and that we do not need a greater power on earth to look after us. We feel safe that this has been done by George Tupou I, and he believed that by offering Tonga to God, its people, its plants, its animals, its land, its sea, the entire country, God would look after us.
Today, that motto, Koi o tua mo Tonga ko hoku tō whia, informs every aspect of Tongan society.
I think the Tongan heritage is it's very valuable and it's very important to know it and maintain contact with it. Because it's the Tongan heritage that makes them Tongan.
That was so beautiful, eh?
So strong, it draws a strength of, of you being a Tongan,
Yes, yes.
Angea no te whakapapau ia ni. E tau tonga ke te manatu pe ke o tau whanua mui. Ngai culture, eh?
Koia. I mean, the KAVA KUO HEKA is just the same with, reminds of the Tukfonua, eh? That we
Yes,
did last week.
yes. Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just trying to see I think I got a wrong one, but then I'm looking at the other one. I go kind of pressure us with all the economic growth and the this like the social distance, changing and stuff like that. It's really affecting the culture, eh?
Io. Koe wave of change, eh? O hinga pe fokia koe ni hao koe ni ai ngai whetongia koe ni. And people are eager to change the traditional life of the Tonga people. You know. Ke to'o KAVA, a very, very dynamic aspect of our, of our culture, eh? Very core. To'o ia, pea to'o moe monaki, eh?
Yeah, it's kind of sad though when they try to remove something it's so unique and something so beautiful, eh?
Io.
I bet go ahead, Brenda.
Ka mon fo ke lau ia Samuel. Ko rea koe whonua. It gives us a sense of belonging. It identified us with who we are, with our culture. Ko mea ko nofo ma pia ia man manu ia I he ia tau tolu isolate me ma manifuri pe. Kai define me a kotoa pe me ho tau ulunganga ki he tau anga whakawhonua ki e tau tareniti ake hiva, tau tareniti ake ai ngawe whakamea a. Pea moe kai ko uta pe ka tau toa atu ki tahi o kia kakaina e uku pea nau I loa. O kia kakaina nau kakau moe anga because one of our traditional myths was, yeah. But oku, si tala no koe ka pita vi, he? Oku ia ngahi concept ko toa pe tau mo ui. Tane ne ke ongo I pehe tu ia e tu po uluaki ko whonua ia ke tuku ki o lunga.
Whai mea mahu I ngā ia hono tuku pe ai whanua ki langi. And pena e hange ka lau ka e princesi. Nanga ke te aha mālohi e te laka he mālohi ai otoa. I heiwi whaka otoa. Kene hanga malu e tonga, eh?
Absolutely. Oku whaifa ke mea e tahi ne ka ku tau o ngoi. E tau tōtonga. Ko time frame wise, ne ongo nā tau tutupu pe I tonga pa tau tōki o main ki mulini. Ka ku hange pia ko ane awhi. You know what I mean? It's so fresh in our memory. Ka oa nā tara mai ha taha ia ko ririu ia me he tō ngā o pārangi pia ngaro au pito mea ko toa ena tau tupu hake moia. You know. Oko very proud pia ke share ki he mātanga that the little Tongan I brought with me ko ia pe ko ke puke eke au ke ahoni. You know, I mean, ko hinga ke language wise, eh? Ko I tau toki tau rea whakapālangi. Pea o te tau rea whakatong, he koe apia ko na aku iai, na e tau whia pito peke o te mauto rea te whahinga language, except whakapālangi. Pea mau he horo he le son tonga. But I was fortunate na e a ko I au ia he ongo tiuta ma tike tika mo oni. You know, and I think that's contribute ki he puke rea whakatonga. What do you think?
Ihe ako? What are you talking about?
Ihe ako. Uinga pake ako. Mo puke pe ata mai whakatonga mo mawe ai respect ki o tau whanua mo ofa. You know what I mean?
Ko te lea, eh? Ko lea na neha ngau.
Yeah.
Na hea pe huka pia kona ia ia we na kangi ngofu he mau lea whakatonga. I mean, ko lea whapālangi pe. But the good thing about that, I know the benefit that they have for Noa, but at the same time, I think was rooted at Tonga kita. Kago tu ya kapag de apply for concept ka di whanau ke o te nau lea whapalang I api. I think that's how we'll start them in the Tongan language. I mean, he found out when the tau kon tau tu pake mori ne.
Yeah.
Kaya nga po ke pangata po ke ko al ke ako nau lea whapalang mo nau my friend. If he took a tope ku it's kind of, but I'm pretty sure pe ia pe fonga ke na wa ko ele fatonga.
O kui ai pe fonga ia Emeline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. O kui ai pe fonga ia kono uhinga. Ko au ia o ku mea ko kai ke usa ia ai ko lea tape fatonga. Le mata ki la loe, maloe, tak laro na whaiwhai ko tua ko wapi ko. You know, when I say that, le reo mama ki pāranga tau. Kai ki neira pu kakai mea whikau ki tau ki. You know. So it's such a mighty thought. E tau wā ko pa tau whainga ke tau ririu whanua. Ka koe loto ia Tonga o kaipe ke mawahe ia miho tau whanua.
Ka kusai pe ko ngawa ka ne ta hoka de ta poka ma o sen jo ta et fe la kala ka hoko. Ke ta tala no I will see a kwendi he pa politikare ho ta culture, eh? I think we're just going to transition to that. Ko ngawa ka ne o tau.
Yes.
Ta poka ma. Ka de wa ta fe la kala ka ba ta to ki hoko at ya, eh?
Hey,
Kaike, que con habla que está programa que te fini para moi comunidade que historia para moi culture. Pero tá foco mais Brenda que ai hoko mai kana ai do favorita que deja mau mau e tá o culture e go se o ia bula he kamata la he more he culture going hi me kona ko ta te fita koni ki social media Brenda Aku tau sia tau tolia ki he na pe video na send mai ka teo. Ko kamata whakawak pe video and then I just close it because I could not believe ai ngai lea o kupuaki mai mo
Koe o mai ke tā he tamia.
No. Ko pe video pe ka share mai pe ko fila waki pe o me fa politikare. Ka ko hea aku me ko kape hono fai
Okay.
Social media. Ngai me ko ni matu ke tau tolu he culture ko tau hanga na o mai en ki culture. Ko tau culture fo ke o gai fe Veta pui
Veta pui aki.
Aki ko ai tau fita ke te fine mo tonga ne na e haha mo lo fia na ke fa
Ia.
Na e tapu he fa relationship ko ya. Kaga tau sa he me kona circulate ko i social media. Mai ngai fu le ai am vai tau le tonga ko le tai whaka esia mon pe
Ia.
Ko te ai me no ha ko mama e ko e tau culture I mean ko ko ngani na ke fu pe mai ki mo a te penta ka ko o kind of really eerie to me e ko hanga o play ha ke and I could not believe some people are so comfortable get out a send the guy all back. But I think for me, I deleted the video because I don't want to hear it because I don't even have a space in my brain for that. When I create the area and I ask the person and they share my sorry, I cannot listen to it. When I have
strong ke tau whanongo.
Yeah,
Tau whakaukau.
I mean, me pay me private pay, kapag tagaita pay ko ya o paha me pay ko relationship but there's not something to be circulating you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes. Yes.
It doesn't build anyone's value or you know. Ako kaya ko tu ka kong ai hai be ko dang ko overseer ko tau culture Because I have a lago I princess. I think the fala me peki ma the programa. I offer I have any.
Apa.
Pa mo me pe. Kaga umbe aga hoko. Kage te anga Brenda ko ma pe ya o tupu mai ko mai hake mai ko me ke ko ki ma e tau ki fonua
Io. Koe history koe ho tau whanua Emeline. Koe haa tui me tuai. Pena koe formation is such in a way e kai to hanga ha tahai au. Historically, o kai ke toi whehu ia. Kai koe tau ngawe aka fake history.
No.
This is our history. Is Tongans.
Right.
Pea koe o ku kai ke ia o ia e ku hope au pito pe ia aku ke whanua mo e hatu I kono uhinga. Koe whanua ia o nau tolu ka pauna nau selfish enough to kick us out from our country. You know what I mean? Ka koe mea ko ku ngalo koe he koe influence. Ka koe ka influential me he kau muri. No. O muri liwe e kau muri in our political admiration. I he whetongi pea anau tolu ka politikare. E lava pea whetongi ake platform I peacefulness.
Yes.
Aku ia e hange pe ia e tau whanong ke history koe o France.
Right.
E nau ai ave nau tui e nau tō ke guillotine. Ko ngai me ai kuonga noa. Kana tau tō e kamata mo tau tōru he kuonga koia. Ko tau whanua o tau tōru me tau history e kai lava tai a whetongi.
It's so true.
No. Yeah.
Hey, go mana te whakakō taha koe tu whanua na pehe koe tu pōlaki. Pea mō ki nau tolu e mui mai I hokutua.
Yes.
Aia koe na kake tuku a tonga ki langi ke ngata pehe ia tu pōlaki. Na tuku a tonga ki langi for generation to come.
Yes. That's a good thought. Yes.
Kamega ko ila ka he ka ke lava a tonga ia o whahari KAVA ke, you know, ke political party ke na took over I to I. He ko anga ko usio ko aku ia. Na esi o hai ka lau ka mea. Na ka te ha malo hia pe to haiwi e to la ka ha ke he malo he o tua. Pa tau tu o tua pe tau to ria. Pe malo I pe tonga he o tua.
Koe foi misteria o tau mama o ke atamai o kakai koe ni tapu mo ki nau tolu. Atamai kakai koe ni o...
Atamai e vale. You talking about?
Io. O mai fokia e whahinga propaganda. He, ke
Yes,
wei aki ai faith e kakai ki o tua. Ke wei aki
they brainwash the word,
io,
you know,
io,
brainwash.
io. Kang man te whoki ai kakai o brainwash pa te whoki mai peia e nau ata mai lerei, Ka koe most influential peia koe a wave of change. Sai, ka tau pehereva it took almost 40 years kia akilisi pohiva tapu moia, Ke whai ene whainga o whetongi a leini koini ai monaki ke tau lere whakapolitikare. Let me say he was so lucky that King George V admired his strength o akilisi, admired any innovation, and he gave them that opportunity. Makai koe ki ai. Koe ha mea nai ho. O ku kei whehu I lewe au ke tai min. Koe konga kone ka venga taua kone I hui e ta hopo mai ke political field. What happened? Ko wherever change ko yana now very committed. O nā wā upe o whakaukau ke now throw it ai pure anga over. Pia now step wai. Pia now liu kawa throw mo tau monaki. Now, ko wha iu are vai ni patoa. Pa awa na ita maha tāia ke he change koni o kuta whamatara atu koni he pōni. No. Ka pau mo hot mo tōria ke mo whakarerei e whoi porokalama koni. O koe ai whaunga. Pa koe ke taha whaunga ha ataha. O ana tara mai ha ataha e o koe ni whaunga. Ko whaunga pia o tua on his time.
Yes.
When he watch. Iyo.
Kai ke whake o ku tau koe whakakaukau ka e tangata o ku ikai koe whakakaukau e ai o tua. Paka mea ka tau pia tau hao ta tō moha whakaukau. Ka pahe ka ke kau e o tua he tau whakaukau. Kai ke tuia we e alu lelei ha mea koe a. Ka tau sia pita tori au te kei peke hange ko lau ka nei. Te kei peke lava ia he e. He kono I ngā pia nei he kusia pia o tua ule a fio e mea kotoa pia tau mama o mea kotoa pia. I always, for me, I believe of hanga ma pia o tua o God intervene, you know.
Iyo.
Mea kotoa pia. He koe uhi ngā he nei. He koe ngā he hange koe whalau koe ai ua pia lau koe te tapu koe he taim kotoa pia o whaiang halai whana isleri. Ko mea pe ha mo pe ke o tua ene whakaukau ki ene COVID-19 te ko mo e palahame.
Koia.
Pau pehe pea ai kakai tonga. Nea mo pe whuriki wanu e unganga koe ni ko tau sio kia he ngai a koe ni ki muini mai. Kai kei mana tui pehe o tua ene COVID-19 te matupo uluaki.
Yes.
God will remember that covenants forever, you know.
Iyo.
And nea mai ha he kake puna he ko via lelei.
Iyo.
We gonna mapelele, but I guarantee you, God will always remember that covenant and the COVID-19 te pea mo tu po laki. He kono peteneki malu ipe atonga he. O hange pe kono COVID-19 te koe mo e pala hame. Deo mo e whai hia mo furikimano e whanau isleri mo na uha. Kana ke whamura pe o tā koe ngā koe ha. Koe ngā koe ni COVID-19 te pea mo e pala hame. And this for me is the same thing when it comes to Tonga,
Koia. Koe ahoni na o si ai ke foi video. Pa koe foi video koe play be me Tonga, Aia koe foi video ata lelei au pito pea koe lea koe toko tahasia ina. Lea whakapalangi pa but not very well. Kako very clear pe ia ini whakamatala mai. Pe he siaina. Koe konga api koe ni, koe konga api lahi. Na whakatau mo ki family. Kere. Pea koe whakatau pe ke si tokoni ki hanga e maunofo he whanua fo o koe ni. Pea pe he rewa he e siaina. Koe kere o tō ngā kere whaka ofa au pito. Pea moe kakai o tō ngā kakai whaka ofa mo oni au pito, Pea koe ne whamatala, hanko very emotional au pito. Ke au me kau muria o fine e nau ofa pe anau tolu he whanua as foreigners, Ki he anga ho tauanga, he anga, so nau lampina tore anga hi pe nau mea tokoni, I he kere, ai e nau ki I afi, ai pe me nau ki papa kiu. But to think, ai ofa ai tonga, o si vahe atu ko ngā kere ki si nofu ai kau muri koe ni. Pea na e, very io, pea koe grateful ai na ki family, o nau pe he koe ngā ue ni ka lahi. He ko kai whakaha misi ni ke whai ake palau, pe koe whai ake teke, pe koe hea he. Koe nau tu mai pe, me nau whanki I here koe o mai o whai pe, nau ki tā wā horo pe. Ka koe anga pe koe whakau o ko ongo I tau mai ake ilo he tō ngā ai nau mo ui whaka politikare. Ko e nau politikare o tonu ke simplified o hangepe ko mo ui ho tau kakai. Whakatu e nau kawe ngā ue koe ni o pehe ai te nau sai whakapolitikare. Pea te nau lava rea ai wharea rea. Pea nau lava whakatu nau ngahi moto. Pea ai ke mahino pea tala ki he kakai me kakai unau whakafofo ngā ia. Very clear, very simple. Kai oe whai e tau lau ia he ko hinga ho. Oku irrelevant. Irrelevant au pito. Pea pea se oku toi au mai ki mulini. Whinga rewa he kakaia. Se ke hu koe ni ai patoa. Koe political. Koe hako ai uhinga patoa. Koe political. Koe political party. Koe
I really don't know what's the patoa stand for. No, honestly, I really don't know. I really don't follow the patoa, and I don't really know what the patoa stands for, you know.
Koe ngā koe pāti whakapolitikare o tu motuanga ofa.
Okay.
Pea koe no uhinga ia. Ka koe mea ko oku hoko ke nau sio ki ai. Ko mālolo o honau taki. Emeline. Pea koe visonea ko vahe whaka konga. He toko taha koto ape koe version e toko taha koto ape how he want his own patoa to be. Ain ko ko tau sio ki ai. Ka koe mea ko whaka ofa taha. Koe foi propaganda koe ni o ne u e sia kakai siasi, kakai lotu. O ne u e sia e ia ai hangiha loto fie ta anai ki he kakai tonga. Nau lere I peki nau tolpe nau very proper. Pea hampo. Pea nau show e whaka apa me tau apa whakatonga. Koe nau fia lahi foki koe pehe koe te nau mui ke liu kawa pe to'o ai why? Why would they think that? Kai ke tunga ka koe he ku oku talawe si pe ki ai na whai ko toha uha o tau whetu upea. It's hard to it's hard to make them understand. That's all.
You know, at the end of the day, Dr. Ray, at the end of the day, you know what I really haven't seen Mexico candidate.
Yeah.
What really and now asalita because when it comes to political, it's not about you, the candidate. No.
No,
it's
none.
about the people that you're going to serve. Eh?
Yes, yes.
Serving out all.
Yeah.
Ako lang na ako ginagawa kere eh.
Oh yeah.
Ko tao ki fanua pa ki na wa ki fanua si hono kere eh.
Oh yeah.
Kau te kai ko tu kapate da wa ko mate tan ko tu bofa.
Yes.
Agriculture. Kone me ko me na focus kai ko agriculture. Like mele ko uso ko ya pagka ko when agriculture show eh.
Yeah.
That's the show that I always love to go to, eh?
Yes.
I always go there with my family and my alma peke show ko ya. Kaya hawa ka to po ni ma ko technology, eh? They bring in technology, eh?
Oh yeah.
And I think with the Powano, it's more conservative. He still respect tradition, but he can bring in the new era to combine. You know, I think change is good, but not fast.
Yes.
Change here, but make sure what it's beneficial.
Everybody.
Yes,
Okay, go have selfless, you know.
Right. Culture, eh? Culture, I got a
yeah,
culture, eh?
Yeah.
But the hard man that 21st century need to pick information era in the I think people are too overwhelmed with information. I think there's too much information, eh? And people don't know how to digest the information. How information from almost everywhere, but information it's good in a way. Don't get lost in information.
Yes.
I mean, just pick what is good for you and what is gonna build to you. When we in the information world, political information can trash us the people. To trash the people with. Trash, eh? I have on my information there for where I get out of, eh? Whatever I have now about how I information for my eh? A lot of this information of how you second hand, I'm gonna have for information here. Was second hand for information, they'll misinterpret level for information, eh? I mean, too much information, getting the people so overwhelmed, and a lot of people don't have nothing else to do but what? Circulate that information, eh? But how can I get the heart of the dog? That we very the internet, eh? Political ka octodon get out forky ki ulagi fa, eh? Forky he ulagi fa, forky get me a gonna to pay a tonga. Hecotautolia and to bofa. Of Femaga that got our dignity, Femaga preserve without dignity, eh? Of Femaga that safeguard without dignity. And you know that's gonna be our mission at our unibase to safeguard our dignity. Hecotau Femata Koloaya, eh? Pedang matai kalau ai atau dignity ai aku fonua ai aku pua fonua aku kan dalam aku kai ai KAVA KUO HEKA
Yes.
so and I think kapag tao preserve pedang tori ai pedang siya pedang tori kaya aku hau ai 21st century pedang liliu pedang tori kaya preserve pedang dignity fai peliliu ya kaya don't completely change, but change pe ke lava ke tau ke preserve pe tau dignity at the same time, but tau lau pe ke tau ke attach ke hau ka eliliu kagu, but it's different. I don't know. Kagu angka sewa gai, o teke ke fusiwa wea o fe I kau fili kan atonga, but I'm just gonna have to wait and see. I haven't really followed many of them. Because I go see about it, if I talk fi hai o back I figure how no or something, you know. And you know one thing, speaking of that, Brenda, speaking of that, I think now they need to the is too much. Ông tôi nói cái nào hang out the family and nào hang going to or what do you call that? A prison. I know I can go for the pay for Vahenga. You know what I'm saying? I think there's too many Vahenga for Hakon Tapu. Tonga Tapu ya figure. How can figure? There's too many Tonga Tapu. I think for that little island to have that too many Papa, they need to really cut it down to something, you know. But I think we should that maybe, you know, but I'm not sure.
You know, Emeline, while you're talking, my mind is just like running 100 miles an hour here. Iho whakamatara koe ni koe ki he informational age o tau tolu koe ni o ku tonge tau take advantage of what information should be technically, moi mechanically, pia moi atamaili, he? Ko mo tau atamailele.
Academically, right.
Yeah. Tau academic stance, ka koe ni. Oku iai pe I feel of Tonga mo nau kau reservists tau pe ka kai unau kei puke whonua mo mea kotoa, he? O nau shan away ki nau tauria mi ngahi vewe ko ni koe kuke mention.
Yes.
Uhinga o ku kai ke aongai ka nau tolu.
No.
Pe au kea mea mahu ingai a Tonga unau pipiki ki ai. Koe hopia aku o reserve he kakai atamai lelei o Tonga pe moi ngahi family solid people o Tonga o kunau kei tatawa i pe ngahi pā e whetongi mo pea mo melemo mo mea ka tenau kei pop up pe kono uhinga of what they believe, he? Pea mo lotu pea ko tau whakahoko, he? Koe mea koko sa tau ki ai, o kai mahu inga ia ka te awe ai me ai puhi holo koni. Koe once in a while o ko sio iha fo I live iha ta pa whakaukaro pehe. Koe ki I siana atamai lere ieni o ku ke mo ne ted ka o ko ne ted o ku kawe he ka taki mua koe ni oi patoa. Pea koe ki tā mau kore whakamore ke ne ted. Sai pe ia tukuange awia. Se ke lea kai ki tā ma tukuange awia ke pe mai kou kai ko whohau. O sai pe ia tukuange awia. Alko to mai ha whohataha. Pete te alko whatau maha whohataha. O lere yange. You know how he is saying that is mockingly saying that. He koe ki tā mai anga ni whakaukau. O kuhanga koe ngahi mea koe o whotu ia e he opposition ki a tau whonua. It's not gonna stand as we know it to be.
Right.
E a rewa tau pe he rewa. Mea au e stai mi mo oni Emeline. Koe mea kou tonu ke ta whotu he ta show hoko. He? Ta o mai ko tau pe ngahi mea lere ato ngā whotu o atu he ta channel. Ke ua pena ai ha opportunity ia o ngahi propaganda ko ni ke humai as ko hamea ka okuni ohifo eta morale to the ground. You know what I mean?
Right, yes.
Pa o kai ke au ngai ka tau toru as I am thinking yanga ko ni tantala noa. Teu ke mo fili hange ko laupe ko e a fu palestinio ngongo ko e tau fonoania President Kennedy. Ask not what the country can do for you.
Yes.
Ask what you can do for your country.
Yes.
O wa te ke si tua me tonu. Io, o wa te ke si tua. Io. Ka ke hanga lerei mai pe ke tala atu to tonu ki a koe. Ko koe ia koe ki moko. O ke tae potoho, o pa tae unga ho lea, ho tae whakaapa-apa, o kai ke whakaapa-apa. Ka koe ngahi mea ko ia ia o ku si pe ke awhio hifo ai eki. Ka pau ke whai e koe damage ke oa na to iai ha mea lerei ai tonga, oh my goodness, think twice.
Ka mea whai da Brenda ke tau mana tui. O mea blessing ia he te whaapa ke te tamai me te whae. Pero regardless, ia ko pero ta pea o whikau koe mai o fulu. Whikau koe ne i he 10 commandment. Ai tau mai koe ke te whaapa koe ke te tamai me whae, ke te matua. But for me, ko ta minute pe ko te tuai ki tau o lea whihangai ke te tamai. You know the cursing is on you, I mean that's a black and white or black and white better when it comes to that,
Oh yeah.
But the thing I go ke te awia ko ke sare mai ko ia to ai mal ai o tua me te ko I seal ai o tua ia ko ai so ka me ta ba ko ai fa to tapu. But it's something pe na o haki fa ta pe mo ta culture, na haki fa apa ia ta culture. But minute pe ho to ko ta fa apa ko ki ai o you know I'm sorry to say that, but for me yeah I blessing have in the relationship when tamai mo fa now. But minute pe ta fa apa ke ta tamai mo ta fa community hono to I blessing o to me ta tolu ke te awia but
absolutely. O ku ke mooni pe ko ia ka ke mana tu I foki Emeline. Ko lea ia e ki tamsi ko nina kai ke peheia ke lea ta e whakaapa ke tamai. Ko tamai e nia mo whiwhini ko na anyways. It came to disown him motu a ia ki tamsi on his own. Disown mono rag mari ko whae I tamasi. Kai o ni pe e ia the present. Mo any life ko at the present. So ko tai mini ko na vale rei. Ko na vale rei ko uhinga pe ko kai ko whaea fo ke pato ai ki motu a ki tua. Na toki o ngoi rewe ki motu ai ta ko ia oksi tue noa. Ala lewe ki tamsi Father, you know, you're still my dad, you know. Ka koe hoko rewa e na vale rei kai ke. Ka koe anga koe ni e ku wakai at ke ofi koe ni e whiri. Koe whaka ofa ki ha taha o kau campaign koe ni, o campaign koe ni ki whare area. Ke nau independent me hingahi mea o wat ka nau tau hala. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Ngahi foi mea ko atu ka nau tau ke nau puaki mai o pehe ai whare tu I pe o pehe ai ai lao tong alu koe o ku ke hoko koe consult person ki he kau wharearea whaiha o mea o kulere i he koe kakai poto e ni o kulere he takita hao whau hani haane mea lele ke hau moia ke whanongo a te poto kakai mono feitu o ku nau whiria ke lere. Na u whanongo he i he pōlawe ai o ngā tangata he media. O tarangi he tokotaha koe. Koe taiminia o nau ke pe ki nau toria pa nau whilau aki pe in their own party. Kana e pehe tokotaha na iai whewhine na kau he kau lere. He? Ka si o pe whewhine koe ni he taimini ku whalaka hono o ngā ono hoa koe ni koe nau whetu kou na lere. Tange ia, you know what I feel? O ku saike ke hokat e koe. Kau support te atua. You know, she just knew she's not gonna catch up. Eh?
It's
momentum.
I like that. I like that.
Iyo.
Kete ala kele kita support ti hoto.
Yeah, that's what politics is all about.
Yes.
O kai ko uhingai ke mo fetuki ke mo katoa ke wharearea. No.
Ko hai ka me ma ko ai fika pe. Tupu to taga ke lele kate ala kita po
Po. Iyo. Heko te believe ke ene taki. Ngā wai whakataki mua.
Taga ke ngata ai pe ka tampa te ke po ai pe te ke lavele ke pahua to ai tia ke mo ai whakataha ke ai.
Ngā wai whakataha. Absolutely. Yeah.
And just say hello to Dr. Ray. Kind of say hello about Dr. Ray to us. So, hello
Dr. Ray.
So,
you should come through.
Saipe. So,
ko hata taimi.
I think the better meet the Nima, so get the penalized pay. I get the Nima. A favor for the culture. It's important that we keep the culture. Kita haka ni. O fema ya kita ngawe fata pe mo fale tu I ako sio ko ako ke.
Tau si rotua. Yes.
Deta he rotua te fale tu he ho ko tope. Pak to no ya ke ka quantity ti ke na fega fata pe mo tu.
Yes.
You know, I think for me, he kwana tu o ke he pe ai uva ako a branch ko ko tonga. A pre anga mo tu pe mo farelea pe mo fama anga pe mo fama anga.
Yes.
Ai ako kapneti ko tu ka ko ya ta ako kapate na lama ke na fega ak fata. Ko tu ke lele ai fonwa pe me kakai. It's very important, eh?
Yes. Yes.
It's
gonna end up that way. I feel the forecast or election going in November. Ea upea ki okatopa ko next week pena okatopa.
Oh yeah.
Ko kamata ke tete ni mai e kau fi kovi ko I Tonga he fili.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of their strength now ilo now me am ton ko ke now very very careful au pito he fetolo aki mo now ngahi mo oni mo ngahi me now tuiki ai he hoko ai mo ve au pito pero me areva ko hoko ko pure anga ya ko ya close down ya tamatui you know.
Oh yeah.
Kai ke malo mo me mai he kono uhinga malo mo me amai ke tau talanga he poni he koe me apen ke tau culture me tau history kai lava tau liliwe history o Tonga.
Oh yeah.
Iyo.
And I'm Emeline Faaumu-Niutei, como host of them in Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, Brenda Kongaika, Seattle, Washington. Koe koloni e malata.
Koia.
Koia. Malo.
Ala mo me mai pa te whamanata te ke mo subscribe mai ke ma YouTube pe mo ma Rumble Senola pe tua ofa e ki atu malo. Good night.
Malo mo mea mai mo mea.